Well, sorry for the delay. Let me start then. And good afternoon, everyone. So, this is the fifth day of these 6 days long program. And we are having this pleasure to welcome Dr. Rick Dash first. He will be the first speaker, and that will be followed by Dr. Anish Roychowdhury. So, it's my pleasure and privilege to get the opportunity to introduce Dr. Rick Dash. Dr. Rigdash is the Associate Director, Data and Analytics at PwC India, with over 2 decades of expertise spanning industry as well as academia. A recognized thought leader in AI and ML, he has designed and implemented solutions in generative AI, computer vision, and deep learning across diverse sectors. Dr. Dash is an ACM distinguished speaker and has received multiple prestigious awards, including the IP Samman 2023 at Siemens, Werner von Siemens Country Award 2021, Advanta D. Divergenti Award 2022, and the Best Innovation Award UILA 2021. He was also honored with the INSC Research Excellence Award 2020 and featured in Hewlett's Wall of Fame as one of the India's top 50 tech-savvy academicians. Beyond research, he has been an industry advisor for ICDSC 2023 and a member of the International Advisory Committee AI Forum in UK. With 2 patents, multiple invention disclosures, 100 plus international publications, and 10 books, Dr. Dash continues to push the boundaries of AI innovations. So welcome, Dr. Dash, and the topic of his particular presentation today will be the AI Renaissance from learning patterns, to generating possibilities. So I request Dr. Dash to start his lecture.
Thank you, Dr. Ghosh, for the wonderful introduction. And I also would like to express my gratitude to Professor Dipankar Datta and the organizing committee, entire UIT, for having such a forward-looking event. Simultaneously, it is always a privilege and honor to talk with such an august gathering. And I am also thankful to the audience that they have, you know, from their precious time, has been able to figure out certain amount of time to be here to brainstorm and to discuss and to, let's say, exchange thoughts with one another during the next 1 hour or so. So good evening everyone and welcome. Thank you for your presence. And as Dr. Ghosh was already mentioning, that we are here to talk on a topic that is rapidly reshaping our world and indeed our profession, which is, for that matter, artificial intelligence. Now, if we think of artificial intelligence, or if we talk about artificial intelligence, then probably that is, you know, that is a very cliche word, and we have been using it for quite some time now. There is, hardly anything new that, as a researcher, as a professor, we are already here, right? As a researcher, as a professor. So it's not that we don't know what is artificial intelligence or why it is there or things like that. But still, it is currently trying to reshape whatever our world and whatever our current thought process is. Hence, I thought of, you know, getting perspective from you all, that this is the AI renaissance from where we are transitioning probably to generating possibilities from learning patterns. So when I say the AI renaissance, because we are at a very pivotal moment, as I was already saying. For years, AI in education was primarily about learning the patterns, analyzing data to understand what has already happened. But as we see today, we have entered a new era, and One focused on generating possibilities using AI to create, innovate, and partner with us in the educational process. Since this is a faculty development program, I am getting little bit specific or biased towards the educational process phrase, but then otherwise we all know that in every facet of life over the couple of years now, it has been instrumental to design our thought process, our different approaches, and things like that. Now, this dependence, I would rather say, probably has started almost uh, 5 years back at least, when the COVID lockdown has started. Now, why am I saying this? Because there was a heavy rush towards things getting online and towards the edtech culture. So now, before I move ahead, I would like to understand from the audience that how many of us have been familiar with the edtech culture or edtech scenario while it was going on during the COVID times. Have we experienced the edtech revolution at that point of time? Because I have been an active member of several edtechs at that point of time. How many of us have experienced the edtech era during 2020, 2021, 22, like that, during our COVID lockdown? So there were two things. One was that the edtech industry, the other was, the reduced admissions in several institutions. Two things were there. So when I am talking about the edtech industries, there were a couple of prominent names, as you all know, like Upgrad was there, like Great Learning was there. I mean, it is still there. All these. Uh, so what essentially they did, they were offering degrees. They were offering degrees in terms of not only normal degree but research degree. Research degree in the sense MSc or masters kind of in AIML, in which in some of the scenarios last 6 months or something, where the courses or where used to be a thesis submission part where a person needs to do a research, and based on that the research thing has to be evaluated. Now, it was targeted and focused towards the industry. That was the one game changer. Second was that all the degrees were offered. Upgrade was nothing but a mediator, or Great Learning was just a mediator for that matter. So especially in Upgrade, the degrees were offered all by foreign universities, right? So all the industry folks who were there at that point of time, they were also losing their jobs. So to keep up to the pace, they took that course, and huge numbers, and they graduated to become masters in the domain of AIM. Some of them were really good, in fact. Now, what has happened was that by saying all this, what I'm trying to say, a huge scope actually was revealed or opened for collaboration between industry and academy. Now, before that, it used to be something like, through places like LinkedIn, etc., we used to get in touch with industry folks. But with the advent of these edtechs, they were having a huge demand of people who were in the education industry for that matter, or who used to be professors or who used to be academic. And after a couple of rounds of interviews throughout India, recruitment were going on at that point of time as consultants. And it was worth working there as consultant. Why am I saying? Because you gain huge experience. Not only experience, of course, it was not a free meal. You were also getting paid for that. So from there, the AI renaissance, which I was saying, which was very subtle just before that was something which came as a challenge, because when you are guiding a professional from an industry and when you are guiding a student, there are significant differences in between, interaction in these two different fora. Now, before I move ahead with that, I would like to hear from the participants, in case if that is fine, that why do you think this kind of an interaction in a classroom and with an industry professional while you guiding both of them should or will differ? What thing or what is that particular area which differs during this kind of a communication? What do you feel about that? Any input from any one of you is highly appreciated. Please participate and tell me that how do you think it differs? Anyone would like to volunteer? That while you speak to a person, there is no syllabus, in fact, for the industry guys. So, one thing which I have observed, please correct me if I am wrong. One thing which I have observed is that uh, in industry, when we usually try to, the approach of great finding real life problems, correct. So, in fact, the main difference when we talk about research, because see, in academia these days we find that everybody is emphasizing on do research, do research, and do research. The problem is, what is the objective of doing research? Probably we are forgetting, because we have so many research articles, we have so many citations, we are at times getting within top 2%, etc. But how many of our research are actually useful for solving real life problem? That every time becomes questionable, and that becomes even more evident with retraction of papers from many prominent journals in these days. And if you look carefully, that high citations and self citation, if we try to draw a ratio based on the data, probably that will be a very interesting use case. Why am I saying this? Because for the research approach, this research is a very comfortable word, you know, but the comfort varies in two different scenarios. Unfortunately, in most of the academic scenario these days, because our academic scenario encompasses a huge, let's say, superset comprising of, the top-notch institutions. So there are many also privately run institutions, universities, all these encompassed together. So now, publishing an article, and while we are doing that, AI in education, so that we can have our name in several rankings, that is fine, feels good for LinkedIn post. But the participation towards industry problem solving, I'm not saying that is essential though, but still the participation towards industry problem solving with the kind of articles we are publishing really has to be cross checked, that whether it will be feasible or not. Now, why am I saying this? Because of the fact, in most of the scenario, while we do research, the data, we select the data. But in industry scenario, the data selects us. There is the main difference. That's why I have used the word comfort zone or comfortable, because when data selects you, it becomes very uncomfortable. Now, the immediate question is why? So we will be discussing more on this. But by saying all these things, what I'm trying to say, that there is a thing written here in this particular, slide, that faculty roles in the last line, faculty roles in the new landscape. So I am more, concerned about the faculty roles in this new landscape. The role of the faculty, how the role of the faculty can be justified for that matter. and how the acceleration of AI in academia will happen. The first question is whether the acceleration of AI in academia or role of faculty, so many big name dropping, which is being done by me only during this conversation, whether that is feasible or not. Why a faculty role needs to be changed? Why a kind of AI things need to be, incorporated and things like that? What is the requirement? Why we should be doing that? See, as a professor or as an academic, usually there are ways of working. So if you think that from tomorrow onwards, an industry person will start working like a professor and a professor will start working like an industry person, that is not going to happen. And that should not happen. Because the objectives of working are very different here. Uh, for a professor who is working, it is not only work, it is apart from taking the sessions or conducting the sessions. Whenever a professor is working, it is just 5% of the task the professor is doing. Fortunately or unfortunately, the professor has to also do, in many scenarios, I am sure all of us are aware of it, several data entry tasks, right? For all this, NAC, etc., blah, blah, blah. Now, on top of that, there is a pressure of publication. So now, if today, suddenly in a FDP, I say that the role of professor must change, then I should also take the ownership of often in an engineering college or university or anything like that for that matter, where this role should be ideal. So that I'm incapable of doing so as of now. So just by giving a statement that the role of professor should change is not going to help. Here in this particular slide, what is being envisioned is nothing but uh, the requirement that because the AI renaissance isn't a distant future, it's our persistent reality. So when I say this, I mean that even if we have 10,000 tasks of data entry, of conducting classes, sessions, completing the syllabus and all, the AI is no more a future or a thing of research. It has already entered everywhere. And it is not that since I am saying this is a big miraculous thing I am revealing in front of everybody, all of us are well aware of it. So now we were mostly interactive with AI in terms of doing the research, in terms of writing research papers, and not really trying to use it in our daily life. Right? So hence we are saying that we were using the AI to learn patterns. So like intelligent tutoring system, adaptive assessment, learning analytics, these are certain things which we see are being sold by several organizations, institutions, and places like that. What I'm trying to say here is that there are companies or there are software systems and organization who usually build this kind of system based on the kind of use cases so that immediate targeted feedback can be provided to the student. Early identification of students needing any sort of intervention is identified, and the engagement also increases and it saves time. But at least during my tenure as a professor, I have never used any of this kind of a system. So this means what? This means even if it is written here, it is not a mass adoption thing that people have started adopting and already doing these things. So when I say this, I essentially mean that look, even if everywhere there are high-end courses of generative AI, high-end courses of artificial intelligence, there is a craze in learning. but how far in practice we and our students at this level are doing so. I am giving you a clear picture. So the industry, for that matter, I'm just minimizing this for a while. I would like to have the perspective that from the industry, software industry or the IT industry for which this seminar is going on. I mean, we are, as I understand, all from IT and computer science background mostly. Maybe some other background could be also here. But in the industry, how far do we think the revenue is dependent on AI based projects? How many industries do you think, or how what portion of the industry is really working on AI based project? I mean, any response is well appreciated. So if you look at the, or if you, sorry, yeah, please go ahead.
Sir, as an academician, I can,
Please call me Rick.
as an academician, I cannot exactly tell, which industry is using which AI, tool. Yeah, most of the projects on AI. But as far as we have, we had been some discussions about with the friends, those who are working in the industry. There are certain things like face detection and all, attendance systems. Very few I have listened that they are working based on this AI technologies.
Very correct, Amit sir. I absolutely, resonate with your thought process. Uh, you see, most of the jobs these days are still in SAP, still in the domain of, let's say, data cleansing and in cloud certifications. Now, again, at times we use these terminologies cloud and AI interchangeably, which is partially true, but not entirely. Now, if I say this is partially true, not entirely, why am I saying so? There is a specific reason behind that, and this is also related to employability of students in this era. See, AI is there, that is fine, but AI applications are mostly, trying to get integrated. So, for example, let's say if we are dealing with uh, SQL statement, so there are two ways of looking at it from the business perspective. One is that you would like to have a SQL backend, and from there you would like to have fetch the data, and you can use anything for that matter, right? You can use the SQL query, NoSQL or whatever, and can fetch the data. But let's say a higher official is not interested in having SQL query. Neither the person will be, let's say, willing to go ahead and learn SQL and then fetch the data, but would like to have a idea of the overall picture or scenario. There, your AI is coming into place where natural language to SQL conversion. And just I'm talking about a use case. So now, this kind of scenario is happening at the higher level or the top level, but the base level, which is getting in, recruited for a mass recruitment program, hardly, at least I have not seen in my experience. If you have seen, please tell me that a mass recruitment has happened for AI based, jobs. A mass recruitment usually happen for database job. Now, if I say database job, that doesn't essentially mean AI based job, right? So that's why this slide, transitioning slide, is here, from learning patterns to generating possibilities. So many of us are aware and familiar, if not all of us, with these terms like large language models, image and media generation, code generation, student application, teaching applications, right? So in our practice, how many of us are using GitHub Copilot? Are we using GitHub Copilot?
Yes, I am using, sir.
Great. Anyone else? Any other code generation tools? I'm sure all of us, by and large, many of us are using that. But uh, this kind of integration that has already taken place, for that matter, right, in VS Code or places like that, this is actually diverting the nature of job as a professor that we usually deliver. So when I say so, what do I mean? Here I am having a piece of code. Okay, this is just I have kept as an example for all of us. What is the use case here? This use case here is ADR. I think you all have heard of adverse drug reaction, right? Adverse drug reaction is nothing. If there is a new drug in the market, by consuming that, what kind of side effect may happen? Okay, that is what is the uh, what should I say? That is what is the motto of adverse drug reaction. So what happens is that, let's say for a definite kind of a drug, so I am actually installing certain dependencies here. For a definite kind of a drug, there could be definite kind of side effects, and if that is known, then we are all aware of. If not known, a new drug is being launched, how do we get the data? Okay, so this is what is learning pattern. Why am I saying this? Because there are data sets, right, which is saying that in structured data format, that for drug A, this is what is the side effect. For drug B, this is what is the side effect, like that. Okay, so we are having this kind of data sets already available. But for a drug which is newly launched and is still under observation, that kind of a structured database may not be available. That kind of a structured database may not be available, for that matter, right? Now, if you see here, what I'm trying to do is that I'm trying to access a data set which is nothing but this one, ADE corpus V2. Okay, let us try to find it out in the net, that whether it is there or not. So this is a data set. I don't know, many of you might have worked with this as well. This is there in Hugging Face. I'm sure that many of you have been familiar with the term Hugging Face. So you can see here, right? This is classified here. This is a label data set. On cessation of the injections, the what is this? A retrocorneal membrane grew rapidly to the, whether this is related to ADR or it is non-related. Okay. So media patient age was 52, median patient was 52 years, blah, 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 etc. So like this, there are so many data up to 177, right? So you can see here. So this is what is the data in question today that we are trying to use. Okay. Why we are trying to use this data? Because, okay, so that we would, sorry, we need to have the API key here. And the API key. Okay, here we go. Let's see if it works, or I have to restart. Oh, okay. Let's restart here and come down. It has reached the timeout phase. So what I'm trying to do here is that with that data set, we are trying to train a BioBart model. Okay. So these BART models are very popular these days, as we are all knowing. So we are trying to train this, and just for 2 epochs, not much. So since this is a traditional AI supervised learning, all of us know. But this is an interesting use case for that matter. So have we, I mean, any of us till now have dealt in with this kind of a use case? Okay, Subham used Gemini a lot. That's great to know. And Gemini is having the largest context window for that matter, and which is great. In fact, you can also try Cloud there from Anthropic, which is available for free there in our Copilot. So that is also great for that matter. So, okay, any one of us have tried with this kind of data set. So the use case, what I'm trying to say is that all these things, let us say, is written on some social media platform. It is going unnoticed, but many people have written like, see, this is one. That is, many people have written many side effects, which is not yet officially captured. Now, if we can get this kind of a data and we can capture, what is the traditional method of doing that? Whatever I am doing now is a traditional method of doing this. That is, let's say, I am trying to train this with this kind of a data for 2 epochs or so. Many of us have done many things like this, and the training is right now going on. Let it happen. Meanwhile, let us discuss the stuffs. So while I say that traditional AI capabilities, that means that these things are not involved in that, even in our teaching application. So if I think that whatever I have shown in Collab just now is a kind of a teaching application, then probably to the students, if I'm showing things like that, I am going for supervised, unsupervised, semi-supervised, blah, 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 etc., kind of learning. But then these days, the craze is towards the our actual learning. Actual means generative AI-based learning. Now, what is so different about, because GANs were there since more than 10, 12 years. Nobody was that much interested in that. But why suddenly this generative AI has caught so much of our imagination? Because of obvious reasons that we see every day. I do not really have to articulate that. But for that matter, if we look at this kind of a distinction between, let's say, the kind of approach that is going on here in this particular collab currently, and the kind of approach that we usually do, as you can see, that the epoch is going on till now, and it will probably provide us with the results a few moments after that. So, if we are providing this kind of a use case in the class, right? And there, if we are trying to differentiate it in terms of how really this kind of a scenario differs while it comes for generative AI and while it comes for traditional AI, that is what is the total objective of this particular thing. But simultaneously, while this training is going on, what I would like to highlight here is that this kind of large language models which are written here, and image and media generation, code generation, how they are transforming the way, or how they are attempting to transform the way. What I was discussing is that the students are getting the jobs based on, so what is the transitioning phase? The students are getting the job based on certain scenarios. What are the scenario? Whether they are good at SQL or not, whether they are good at cleansing or not. So why? Because till date in SAP also there are huge amount of data which requires to be migrated, right? Now that is why I have already mentioned that there is a huge demand of cloud. Now, most of the SAP system, or many of the SAP system in the big organizations, which are essentially not IT organizations, are there in standalone system or on-premise system for that matter. Now, for that on-premise system, if someone would like to transfer this to the cloud, then obviously data transformations are required, because of the fact in a specific format in which a cloud like a Salesforce or like SAP or something like that, a ERP like that, should be able to understand and grasp the data and analyze the data. So what is required here? The first step which is required here is to fetch the data. Then what is required here is to cleanse the data, is to find out the KPIs in the data, is to see that what are the things which are, let's say, near duplicate, or let's say what are the things which are missing, what are the things where there are no, there are certain patterns, or where there are anomalies. Now, while creating this kind of a scenario, we can have GenAI incorporated in this kind of a use case to find out automatically. We can have AI incorporated in this kind of a use case to find this automatically. Otherwise, how these things are traditionally being done? You sit here, you try to find out one after another using SQL queries and all that, whether there are duplicates. But how do you find whether there are near duplicates? How do you find that whether there are certain amount of things which are which needs cleansing, or which are not in a particular pattern? You need to find it out manually, right? Or in Excel. So that is a huge possibility of employment. From there, if you think of migration, now you are trying to do the cleansing part also with the help of certain drag and drop tools, which are very easy to learn, but creating huge employment opportunities. For example, Azure Data, Data Factory, that is of Azure, ADF. That is a drag and drop thing. After that, if you want to go for coding based thing, then there is Databricks, right? So in that platform, you can do data transformation. You can use Apache, PySpark, etc., by which you can carry out all this sort of transformation, so that you can come up to a particular kind of a. So while we are interacting, as I was just stating, the changing role of faculties of professors, see why one should like to be here in a professional course, so that a proper guidance for that matter, because anyways knowledge is available for free these days, and if someone in my session or my class is unable to understand something, there is a very meager possibility that the person will come back to me, because if the person even records what I say and ask ChatGPT or Gemini or anyone for that matter that please make me understand at a beginner level what this fellow is saying throughout, it will provide 10,000 examples and make it very easy for the person to understand, right? So that is why it becomes evident and essential for us. You see, the two epochs have completed. Now that if we would like to run this with the help of a front end, for that matter, right? Just like a front end app or something like that. Let us try to do that. And once we are doing so, as we can see, the precision recall, percentage are given here, and then we can test here as well, and then we can use Gradio. This is a very familiar tool. I think many of us are already using this, for that matter. If not, then there are other tools as well for front end, but Gradio is very handy and familiar when we use it with Python, right? So once we are using this, this is coming up with our this kind of a URL launcher, correct? So once we launch this kind of a URL, there is a link that you can see, and also the URL. So if I click on this link, it should create the similar kind of an interface, or else like that. So there are a couple of questions. So let's say if I just click on this demo questions, right, and then if I click submit, so this has created a simple app which is saying whether it is not related or related. Okay. Now we have done so many things in creating this. At least for 10 minutes we have taken time in creating all these things, correct? This is traditional AI that we are doing, right? Supervised one, BioBot model. But the point is the same transformer is there behind our this GPT model and all this generative model as well. Now if we try to use it in a different way, for that matter, let's say, now if we try to use it with the help of GenAI, which is the craze these days, and if we try to run this, let's say, here also we are installing the required packages, we are doing certain kinds of imports, and then the same thing I'm just trying to show you. And I'm using Gemini API here. So let's see the secret is there activated or not. So what is the name? Google API key, Google API key. So this one should be I have activated that for now, and let's see. Let's move ahead with this. Now that you can see that only the execution is going on, there is no training or anything, nothing is required. So after this, what is happening is that, for a given kind of a scenario, whatever data was there, which I was showing you just before some time, okay. Now if I go down and if I try to choose my interface here, for that matter, okay, with the same Gradio kind of a tool, it will provide me same Gradio, right? Okay, now that the biasness become lesser. Okay, so what I'm trying to say, if I say I started laughing after taking paracetamol, pardon my spelling if it is wrong, I don't know. So this I have given, even my spelling is wrong, the GenAI, so it is classifying as not ready and providing confidence high. See, it was taking 10-15 minutes, and this is 1 second. the entire program is running, right? So the same ADR scenario, if I say I started, okay, feeling sleepy after taking maybe, okay, let's submit this and see what is the answer. See, ADR, and it is also providing me with the explanation, correct? So we can further improvise this. This is just for example, this I have taken, but we can further improvise this. And in fact, I am having two or three different research paper on this ADR on using GenAI and all this stuff. That is fine, but I'm just trying to provide it as an example to show that how the interaction with students, for example, usage of GenAI can influence them, and the opportunity of application of GenAI instead of just reading through the books in an industry can be validated with them. So what I was just saying now, that you can have ADF also, you can have Databricks for this kind of task of migration, for data cleansing, for SQL based task, right? There are huge opportunities there. But as soon as these things are coming, you might have seen that with SAP, etc. also, there are a couple of integrations which are coming. Same, which is for the GenAI integration. Same as you can see here, the discovery tools, the creation tools, the understanding tool, LMS integration, all these things are here, right? So all of us also know there is a very nice tool. I don't know whether you have used that or not, called napkin.ai, which with the help of your text and all will create great pictures for you for your classes and interactions and all. I mean, if you have not used that, you can try that. That is free of cost and that is remarkable. So you can use that, right? So you can have
Kindly,
chat.
kindly repeat the name or text it in the chat box, please.
Okay, that's napkin, NAPKIN, napkin.ai.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Many of us might have used that. Napkin.ai. Okay. So, Professor Das, Sushanta Kumar Das, as I understand, is requesting for the code. But, sir, definitely I can share the code. That is not an issue. But that's what I was trying to tell you, and not to you, to all of us, in fact, that GenAI has made it so, what should I say, democratic, that if you see something and get the context, you should not be asking for the code. You can just write what you have understood to a GenAI for generating the code for you. Isn't it? So, if you go to ChatGPT right away, this way, and ask that for identifying ADR, or let's say, let us write here, adverse drug reaction from, or adverse drug reaction with the help of generative AI, please provide me a Python code. It is good enough for you, for us to at least start go getting with that. You see, it has already started working on this, crafting the area detection thing, and it will be able to provide us with the stuff, with even the documentation, right? So that's what I said, that whatever I am showing, whatever I am saying, if anyone get the transcript and ask the thing to a generative AI model, then it is not required to come back to me. You can have everything on your own. Are you getting it? Now, this is good as well as this is very much scary. Correct? Why? Because, then where is the monopoly that as an industry professional or as a professor we used to have, that we come in some place and sit in front of the audience and we'll say, look, Look at this thing, this is like this. Look at that thing, this is like that. And the audience will listen in awe. That is not going to happen anymore. Since the advent of Google, people are Googling things, right? Now, with perplexity, people can even have the explanations. Now, even if you search in Google, you first get a GenAI recommendation about what is what. So, for example, if I ask here, okay, working at, let's say, working as an IT professional in India. Okay, if I just, so first thing, working on is characterized by high growth and demand, blah blah blah, etc. etc. Before Quora, etc., that used to be on the top. First thing is Gemini review. You get a consolidated one, right? So you can see that even in informed decision, how AI can help you as an assistant. It is also giving you the range that what you should expect. You can see what is the salary range, etc. Blah blah blah. How it is doing this? We are all aware of the agentic system these days. So, of course, the agentic system is here. And the MCP servers are also of great use these days, right? So now, whatever, delivery we have, kept in a very safe place, or we are trying to deliver thinking that everybody is listening in awe. The students, whether they express or not, they are very smart, right? They will say that if I ask the teacher or the professor, that will again enhance, interaction, enhance the duration of the class. Let the fellow say whatever the fellow feels like. I will get it done by my own, and whatever I have to learn, I will learn. Because if today someone is not understanding from you and me, they will go to Andrew Ng straight away. Free of cost, LLM models, so many courses are there. Right? Along with the course, everything is available. Then what are we trying to teach? And what research are we trying to do? Because if even I would like to write a research paper, how can I believe that research paper is written by me and not by AI? I mean, even there are AI plagiarism checks, but they are saying probably this is written by AI. So this doesn't even stand in the court of law. Because probably means what? It may or may not be. So that's why it has been mentioned there are skill gaps, academic integrity, algorithmic bias, workload that we were discussing, right? So these are the empowerment opportunities like automation, personalization, pedagogical innovation, accessibility. These are big words for that matter. I mean, if I try to say formally. But when we think deep inside with the examples that I was showing, so for that matter, if you look at this example, I'm sure many of you are, you know, using this, like this thing, right? This fellow. You, sorry. Uh, Many of you might be using Langflow. I don't know why this is coming every time. Yeah. So when we are talking about Langflow is just a drag and drop structure where we can use the different this thing. You can get started for free. You see, it can generate code for you. You can also have the drag and drop structure. Okay. I don't know whether I'm giving the correct password. No. So, anyways, so this is the GitHub. But with Langflow, what I'm essentially trying to say that you can have a drag and drop structure for all your needs. Correct. So here is Langflow. As you can see here, the drag and drop model structure, where you are getting the agents also, where you are getting the this kind of different tools also, and you can see how it functions, right? So it becomes very easy for us to get adaptable and to bridge our gaps, not always by coding, I'm not saying that always by coding, but even by using this kind of handy tools and places like this. Okay. So I have just opened this. You can have data sets here. You can have models here, right? This is also free. Hugging Face, correct? You see, all these stuffs are here. And then we all are aware of Kaggle Collab. These have now gone old, but then Kaggle Collab platforms where we can easily test these stuffs and come up with things to the students to grow interest. The best thing or the utmost thing these days that we can do for the students are these. Now you say that, is it that for that matter research is not going on? Research is definitely going on and people are doing great research, good research. But I'm not particularly naming it, but you try to cluster that which section of the academic fraternity is doing great research and having all the awards and what kind of funding and support they are having and what kind of students they are having with them, right? Do we all have the equal opportunity and amount of things? First of all. Second, do we all have the liberty to do those kind of things? Probably not. And that is true if you think that even in the industry people get huge liberty. That is absolutely wrong. There is absolutely no liberty. And in most of the times, you know, you have to do things which you don't like. Let's say it is 101% of times out of 100%. But you have to do that on compulsion. So the learnings are different in two different sectors. We may think that academic is stagnant, academic is this, that, but industry is very dynamic. That is very true. Industry is very dynamic and very demanding simultaneously. So what I am saying is that even at a very senior role in industry, you may have to become a full-time coder. Although, while during your interview, nothing like that has been mentioned to you. Why am I saying this? Because everything depends on your billability. So, whatever I'm doing now, sharing kind of gear, if this is not really working for your billability and the industry feels, your boss feels that probably there is a project where this guy can go and can do full-time coding, I can have a good alliance as well as this guy will also get a billability, you have to do that. Otherwise, within a month, you have to leave the place. Okay. So that is not on choice. Okay. That is on compulsion. So there lies the changing roles of professors or faculties for that matter. What I'm trying to say here is that if even some of us, those who are very young or those who are probably thinking of changing their roles from academia to industry, please be ready for bigger monotony of work. Don't think that every day you will get a research project and you will jump into it and try and solve and everybody will clap at it. No. If you even try to solve that, there will be 10,000 questions asked to you. And on top of that, whether that is within budget or not and who is paying for that. If not, then you're all research, there is no research. Get lost. Okay. So this is just one case study from my end that some people have developed this kind of a calculus platform for students with the help of all these things. This is an undergraduate STEM kind of a program, as we all know, where these kind of metrics were taken into consideration for student satisfaction assessment scores and all. This is an algorithmic approach, balancing algorithmic recommendation with teacher judgment. What has happened? It has the challenges like the initial learning curve are very high, and then some students require training. So if we are collaboratively doing this kind of a task, or even like case study 2 that I have just now highlighted here, we will be in a position that we can have a collaborative scenario where you can use AI as an assistant. Otherwise, in such a fast pace, we are, differentiating ourselves from the industry, that it will be a very disastrous scenario in recent future. Why am I saying this? Because you see, if you try to give an assignment and you think that I'm not providing any hint, any code or anything, you just write the assignment, the student will not write it also. We'll just take a picture, give it to a GenAI along with the explanation and code. It will be there in front of him or her within 5 seconds, and the person will take a printout and give it back to you. Okay. So if we do not learn to adapt AI as an assistant, rather than if we stick to kind of scenario where we use traditional way of teaching, then probably our job will be at stake very soon as the institutions stop getting students. And to be very honest with all of you, I have seen this and experienced this. Many of my colleagues who are here, who know me personally, might be knowing about this. During the COVID time itself, I have seen and experienced this, and I have perceived this earlier. So I have been in a very let's say stable academic for 17 long years. Usually, we do not transition after 17, 18 years of academic career suddenly to an industry. Nobody is willing to do so. But I have seen and perceived the inconsistency. While I was fortunate enough at that point of time, even after being in 17 years in academic, to get a chance with organizations. And why am I saying this? Because simultaneously, in different forums, I have seen that this kind of disaster, many have perceived earlier, whether in industry or academia. You might have seen in everyday industry, people are, getting pink slip and all. There are huge disasters. People are at times, committing different things which are not to be committed. And let's say there are so many things which are happening. Why these are happening? Because of, readiness. When I say readiness, what do I mean? See, when I got my PhD, I thought that I have, after a huge struggle, I have got my PhD and all. So, I am a senior guy now. What I will do is that I will do chanting of mantras throughout the day, that you have to do this, do that. And I will be little bit kind of have a separate kind of a life and no more so much drastic things and all. But life has separate plans for everybody. So what happens is that, but still due to some reason or other, it always, you will see in any professional who is even successful in our parameters, is still trying to cultivate himself or herself in a way that where is my fear? Where is my anxiety? So that if we try to face it within ourselves, probably we will get the answer and we will try to work on it so that in time of crisis, that will become our defender. So if a person is in industry for that matter, and tomorrow if he lose out his or her job, then what is happening is that, let me tell you that many of the folks who are senior people, they are getting good packages and all. They are having several EMIs etc running and several social status they are maintaining, right? But the next day they are out of the show. It's not that they are going to get the similar kind of role in a similar industry. Neither they can get into some kind of a academic role. Why? Because of the fact that many of us who are in the industry, um, there are certain requirement in academic. Everybody cannot come and become a professor of practice, right? And even for professor of practice, if you get an industry guy having MTech, PhD, blah blah blah, etc., you won't prefer a guy with only a bachelor of engineering, because the college has also to show certain things for their ranking and all. So it is imperative and essential. That's why during that wave, during the COVID, people has gone like mad for their masters with this edtech program and all. And now you will see over the LinkedIn and many other places, bypass the suffering of PhD, get your DBA, which is very funny to me. I don't know. I mean, whether that is ornamental or not. I am not a eligible person to comment on that. But I don't know how a person can do a research without having suffering in that. But still, you see the growing competition that even in online people are getting DBA, and which are acknowledged and accepted DBAs. So in coming times, in very near future, due to the growing pressure, and you have also seen what is been done in America and things like that, because no more offshore labors are getting cheaper and all. So many people may lose job from the industry, many senior folks may lose job. And if they try to come to the academia, and academia also to lure the revenue, to get the students attention, they also try to feature those kind of people in their brochure. And if we as a academic, we are having everything like degrees and PhDs and all, do not get into hands-on practice, then what will happen to our sustainable ecosystem? Because everybody in academic and industry would like to grow, but we will not be able to grow unless and until we accept and face the truth. However, this is what are certain of my understanding and certain of my experiences that I have shared in this forum with you all. Thank you very much for your patient listening, and I'm grateful for this opportunity. Now the forum is open to all. If any question, you please go ahead and ask me.
Sir, you thank you so much, and the really nice presentation was there. I just want to ask one tool you have said that napkin.ai we can use in our teaching. Is there any kind of like this tool by which we can have some activities on the basis of the maybe particular syllabus or something? Because so many institutions are there which are moving towards this activity-based learning.
Right. So, in terms of activity, if you want to say, there are, I have used, I have shown a tool which is specific for our AI domain, which is Langflow, right? There is another tool which is quite old. Many of you might have used that, which is known as Orange. There is another tool which is known as Vika, right? So if I say like this, many of you might have used this. Orange comes with Anaconda itself, right? Then Langflow, then QAI. Okay. So now, if we try to divide instantly several tasks like this, like the use case, I have just used one use case, as activities among the students, using very small projects like this, which do not have a ready-made solution, then probably by using these tools, so first two, Weka and Orange, are traditional AI tools. They are not GenAI tools. Then Langflow, QAI are the ones. Langflow is, no code or low code, and QAI little bit low code, but it is having code. Langflow is entirely drag and drop. From there, you can also generate the code, right? So obviously, you must be knowing all these things, but then these things we can use for our daily day-to-day activity, not only for the good of the students, but also when we put this as an activity, we know that questions may come back to us as well. That, sir, we are, or madam, here we are facing challenge or trouble. Then you have to troubleshoot that. So while doing so, or while you are practicing so, you become a master of this trade. So this is how I look at it. And these are certain tools, immediately that came to my mind. Does that answer your question, sir?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. And one more question is there. You have said that teacher nowadays indulge in this data entry kind of job. So, very few tasks are there in the institutions like we are indulging teaching, apart from the other jobs like preparing question banks, question papers, and all blah blah blah, uploading the same things on ERPs and well. Can we have something? We can. We cannot get rid of this, but if anything is there, like we can. The task can be easier.
No. See, for having anything, the problem is, a little bit at an administrative level. First of all, this task which we are doing, it is a matter of controversy that whether this should be done by the professors or someone else. Second is that, I mean, at least a data entry task. Second is that if even there is something else to automate the task, or there is, it can be outsourced as a project, whether we are having that much of budget or not. So both the things are equally important,
Right,
right?
sir. Absolutely
So,
right.
that's why I said this is an administrative problem. This is not a technical problem. So once we are, able to respond to this, probably because that's why I said that you will look at that most of the good research, good funding, good awards are going to a specific kind of university. Why not? It is getting generalized. Is it that none of the professors are there in other universities or colleges? There are so many, but are they really coming up or getting the scope, or who is at all, you know, moving ahead and coming ahead and providing them a scope? Nobody. Hence, this problem is happening. So that is what is my understanding. I mean, throughout my career when I was an academic, and whenever, even I have looked to industry, but I still feel that there is a huge kind of, this is a very kind of a statement, industry academia gap, which we, just like certain kind of problems, we love to keep this alive, because this is never going to, resolve, because we do not want it to get resolved.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And you're good for education industry as well.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. If there is any other question, you may ask. Any question from the participant, or is there anything in the chat box? You may write also. There is one thing being written. It's like how we have been using calculators instead of manually calculating everything. Though I don't know whether it's a comment or somehow.
Comment.
Yes, it's a comment. Yes, you can now post it. Yeah, yeah. That, no other question.
Uh, okay. Okay then. Thank you so much. Thanks for the
Okay, thank you
opportunity.
so much, sir, for your wonderful talk, and we have enjoyed that one a lot. And one more request, that can you please provide the slides? Then it will be beneficial
Yeah,
to
yeah,
all of
definitely.
these
I will be sharing
participants.
it. No problem. I will be sharing it.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Okay,
Have a happy weekend. Thank you and goodbye.
thank you so much, and same to you, sir.
Thank you.
Uh, as we have finished it earlier, so I think we can have a break of like 15 minutes, because the next speaker is scheduled to start at 7:30. So we keep that timing. And in between, if you have anything to ask, then we can ask. You can actually ask. So as a particular point of reminder, that you will be having the last day of the program tomorrow, and please be remembered that tomorrow we will start exactly at 2 p.m., not like the schedule 6 p.m. every time. So we will start tomorrow at 2 p.m. and we will be having 3 lectures. The first lecture will be from 2 to 3:30. Then the next lecture will start from 3:30 up to 5. And the third final lecture for these entire FTP should be between this 5 to 6:30. And between the timing 6:30 to 7:30, we will have these online MCQ test. And after that, at 7:30 exactly, we will start the concluding session, that is the valedictory session. So this is the schedule what we have roughly. So tomorrow we will start exactly at 2 p.m. Please wait with us patiently, and by 7:30 we should start the next lecture, and that will be delivered by Dr. Anish Roychowdhury. So please be there with us. Thank you so much.
Okay, Madhurima Mukherjee have asked one question, sir. Can you get the recording of the sessions? Yes, we are doing the recording, and at the end of the program, we will distribute it. Okay, but we have to check a certain thing before that. We have to discuss with AICT and all this thing. Then we will decide. And note that the criteria for giving certificates are given by AICT. So I have written that criteria in the comment box. Two criteria are there: 80% attendance and 70% marks in the test. No negative marking.
Uh, roughly, I can tell you that we should have this. So sorry, there was an echo. Anyway, so roughly we can say that we are giving around 1 hour time, but we should fix the final time because otherwise it should be just open for entire period. That would not be like that. So we will keep in mind that there should be some fixing time that after that the link will not be active. So it may be deactivated within a certain period. So we will inform about that one. And roughly, I can say there should be around 40 to 45 questions, all are MCQ. And as you will know that there will be 4 options. One of them should be right. You have to finally tick that one in a Google form. There should be given. And please write the entire things before just submitting the answers. That your name, your mail ID, etc., your phone number, everything should be written properly. So after that, you can submit, and there should be a time limit for that one. By that time, you have to submit that one, and automatically the scores will be generated to us. So we will just verify the scores finally, and we have to send all these reports to AICT. So as we know, there is a cutoff. So as one individual just scores Beyond that cutoff, he or she will be eligible for the certificate. Of course, there is one more point, that attendance. We are recording it automatically in this Google Meet forum. So everything is being automatically recorded. So with the help of these recording of these particular attendance, as well as with the marks what you will score tomorrow, we will send the report, and finally AICT will just go with this practice and they will provide the certificates.
So test will be for 1 hour or something?
It should start around 6:30 roughly, I'm saying, because the point is we have to finish all the lectures. As we know that there should be 3 lectures, so that can be plus minus 5 or 10 minutes, as we know.
No.
That after the
I'm
finish of
just
all the
asking
three
about the
lectures,
timings of the test. I mean, total duration of the test.
total duration, yeah, it may be. It may be 1 hour, but we will just, of course, report that one, because if we have less number of questions, it may be reduced time. But anyway, maximum 1 hour time. Okay, we will
Okay.
just verify that one and
Thank you.
let you know. Okay.
Actually, we have not received all questions yet, so today we will fix up those things. And what we have planned, that we so if we finally give say 45 questions, we will give 45 minutes. If there are 30 questions, then we will give 30 minutes.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes.
The quiz will be on Google link.
Yes.
I
Yes.
mean,
Google
Yes.
link.
Google Forms. Good.
okay, okay.
Yes. Purvasa Haldar. The timing of the test is already there in the schedule.
It should not be before 6:30, because already there are 3 scheduled lectures. But it may be 5 or 10 minutes late, because we have to first finish all these lectures. After that, we can start these examination. So as the schedule says, we are having the exam period by 6:30 to 7:30. And as already Dr. Dotto has mentioned, that depending on the number of questions, we will fix the time in between. Okay, total time tenure. And what we will do, we will provide the link of these examination in this chat box after finishing all the lectures, as well as the thing should be there in your WhatsApp group also, so that you can just go through this particular test link and start your test.
Yes. Question will be in Google form. Any question from Purvasa? Purvasa Haldar?
Okay. No, not all the details. Basic details will be actually required. So you will see that because your name, your Gmail or any other mail ID, what is the primary email ID you have, the phone number, the contact details, and your affiliation and the designation. Basically, these things will be there. And after that, you will have these questions. Nothing else. Not like a big list of all these data you have to input once again. Not like that. It's just the basic things. I think Dr. Anish Roychowdhury has not joined yet here.
He told me that he will join at 7:45, 7:25.
7:25. Now it's 7:26, I think.
It's 26. Okay.
Okay.
Wait for another 2-3 minutes. Then
No issue. We have the
if-
time. Yes.
yeah. Yes. Tomorrow we will start at 2 p.m.
So I think Dr. Anish Roychowdhury has joined. So can we start the proceedings? So welcome, Dr. Roychowdhury. Can you hear me? I'm not getting your voice. You speaking? No, voice is not coming from your end. I can't hear.
Okay. Am I audible now?
Yes, it's okay now. Yeah, you heard it. So I think we can start then. So let us begin this second session of today's program. And we are having with us Dr. Anish Roychowdhury here. And it's our pleasure to introduce him. Dr. Anish Roychowdhury is a data science practitioner and educator with a total career experience of 20 plus years across industry and academia. He is currently an associate professor of practice at Plaksha University. Prior to joining Plaksha, he has taught in full-time and part-time roles at leading B schools and technology schools, including SPJ School of Global Management in Dubai and Sydney. He has also held leadership role in multiple organizations, including leading the data science for manufacturing at Dr. Reddy's and senior roles with MNCs like Airbnb and Brillo, and has led teams at startups in both edtech and fintech domains. He holds a PhD in computational microsystems from IISc Bangalore with a master's thesis in the area of microfabrication, Louisiana State University, USA, and an undergraduate degree from NIT Durgapur. So welcome Dr. Roychowdhury, and he will be delivering his talk on the topic Introduction to Generative AI and Tools Landscape. So welcome, sir, and start your lecture, please.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ghosh. Very good evening to all the attendees of this workshop. So today, this session is going to be in two parts. A part would be theoretical, where I would walk all of us through a basic introduction to what generative AI is, this being a generative AI part of the lecture, and a little bit on the what's under the hood behind these models. So I will talk a little bit about the sequence models. Then I would shift my focus to how does one use these tools with respect to, say, how is a ChatGPT different from, let's say, a Perplexity, and how does Claude behave differently? Are there anything such as, does a prompt engineering really make sense? And how can you leverage these tools in the field of education and otherwise, with our focus being on content in and around the education sector, right? So without further ado, I would be sharing a deck. So may I request Dr. Ghosh to please let me know if my screen is visible. I'm just trying to share my screen. Just a second here. Yes, if you can please let me know if my screen is visible.
Yes, it has come. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. Okay. So today, as you all know, that generative AI has basically taken over the technology world by storm. And when I say generative AI, I'm being very specific. I'm not talking about traditional AI or traditional machine learning, but very specifically with generative AI. We knew that the GPTs came around. GPTs were there maybe around 2 years back. It was when the buzz started, and then it's kind of exploded all over. The last year or a year from now, it was LLMs which exploded all over, and currently I guess the trend is around agentic AI, right? So basically all of these have something in common, their core, which is they are all generative AI models, right? So today you can do a lot with generative AI. You can write a prompt and get a video, write a prompt and get a music. And of course, I mean, there's so many other applications which is just based on prompt engineering. Probably all of you are aware of many other tools than just ChatGPT. Maybe some of you are using Perplexity, Gemini, Elon Musk's Grok. But let's focus on ChatGPT, right? Let's just try to understand the GPT behind the ChatGPT. Okay. So this was a response from ChatGPT some time back, that what is ChatGPT, and it said about itself that it is a generative pre-trained transformer. Okay. So the attention lies on these three keywords: generative, pre-trained, and transformer, each a very heavy word. Okay. I would want us to focus more on the word generative, because that tells you about generative AI. Whereas the pre-trained and the transformer goes more into the technical aspects of how ChatGPT is built. All right. So let us try to understand a very, very layman's concept of what a generative model is, based on this very simple slide where you see a bunch of images of horses on the left-hand side, which we are calling our training set. And on the output side, the generated images are also a few pictures of horses. In this case, 2 pictures of horses. Okay. So why horses and what do they convey? Now let's take a step back. Let's just think about traditional machine learning, right? You fit a very deterministic model. Let's say you have a paired X and Y data. Let's just take a step back where the label is known for the data. So you have a data which has both the output value and the raw input. It could be a multivariate input. And you train a machine learning model which is able to kind of fit a functional form to the data X. If it's a linear regression, it's a linear form which is getting fitted. But otherwise, you could fit any form to the data. But whatever form you fit and whatever is your final output of the model parameters, it is deterministic. Meaning if you input X, you will always get Y, no matter who does it, right? If you use the same model. Now, with that as our base, let's try to understand the word generative here. Okay. If you see the picture on the left, you will see 1 horse, 2 horses standing, running with a different angle to the viewer, right? So if we are to break this into features, let's consider a feature as count of the horses. Let's consider another feature as color of the horses. Let's consider another feature as the angle which the horse faces the audience. If it faces the audience directly, call it a 360 degree or a 0, right? Now, think of these features as your input points in a multivariate data distribution. And once you have enough data points, there is a distribution. So there will be a distribution where maybe there'll be a bias towards white color and maybe towards brown and golden color. But let's say the distribution varies from white to black and maybe from 1 to infinite number of horses, but with more probability of, numbers being between 1 and 10. Right. So if you think of these horses picture not as horses pictures, but as features, and you consider in mind a multivariate distribution. Now imagine that you are sampling from that multivariate distribution, which means you may get 3 horses or 4 horses. You may get colors which are a blend of these colors or with a bias towards these colors. You may get poses of the horses which are similar to the ones or slightly different, right? Which is there in your generated images. Now, remember again, this is sampling from the distribution. So there is no formula y equal to f of x which is learned, right? What is learned is the distribution of the data itself. And sampling from that distribution every time will give you something little different, but with a bias towards where probabilistically the highest chance occurs, right? So that is your very layman sense explanation of the word generative. Okay, let me go just one step ahead. Okay, these models, these off-the-shelf models like ChatGPT and many others, they are generically trained on a certain data. And some of these so-called open source models, when I say open source, is that the weights are available for users and the community to train and fine-tune. So these first level of training on which they're released is the pre-trained, is what is referred to as pre-trained. So these models are standardly generic in nature. They are open for a versatile amount of tasks, right? So that is the pre-trained part of it. Okay. Now, what is the transformer part of it? Transformer here refers to a specific deep learning architecture, which in a very simple form can be thought of as a encoder and a decoder architecture. Although you have encoder only and decoder only architectures, but just consider as an encoder and a decoder. Let's say that a task is to translate something in English to Spanish, right? So a transformer with an encoder decoder architecture, what it would do is it would take the input, it would encode the input into a numeric vector form, okay, and it would pass that to the decoder side. The decoder side is trained to decode the input into outputs in steps. So the decoder side is trained for decoding, whereas the encoder side does change the numeric form or the text form of the data into some special number form, which can be a vector form. Right? So this is the architecture basically, which is the, in very simplistic sense, this is the transformer architecture. There is much more inside what goes on. We're not discussing the details of the deep learning architecture, which is inside these blocks. Okay. Now, with that away, let's try to understand how does that relate to large language models. Okay. And ChatGPT is one of them, right? So large language models are trained on, the large part is of course the huge number of parameters that these models have on, and they're trained on vast amount of data. Right? And they do a variety of tasks. They can be fine-tuned or trained specifically for language translation. They could be text generators, generic models. They could be summarizers or specially tuned for sentiment analysis. Right? Now, let's try to understand how a GPT like model work. Okay. All right. So consider the prompt, which is the input basically. The first person to walk on the moon was. This is your input. Okay. And we know that it will respond with, well, most likely again, Neil Armstrong. Okay. Now, how do you think that this is happening? So one school of thought could be, it is trained on vast amount of data, and it knows that wherever there is a first person to walk on the moon, it has to be Neil Armstrong, because that word is always associated with the first person to walk on the moon, right? Okay. That's one school of thought. The question here to ask is, what is the question being asked to this large language model? That is what we should understand. Okay. So what we are actually asking this large language model is not who was the first person to walk on the moon, but what we are asking this large language model is, okay, if I give you a sequence of words in this order, the order being the first person to walk on the moon was. If you get a sequence of words in that order, based on the statistical distribution of words that you have learned, what is the most probable next token or word? That is the question we are asking when we write a prompt. And if it has got enough learning from Wikipedia, from encyclopedia, from books, from open source, it would probably be in its learned memory, in its learned parameters, it would have learned that, the token or the word Neil and followed by Armstrong are the most probable words which will come after this sequence of input. Okay. So now we are getting somewhere. We are starting to realize that this large language model is not about any limitations are there. I'll take up the questions later. Please keep posting, so we'll take it up in the QA part of the talk. But do keep your post, and we can collect them later on, right? Okay. There are lot of limitations when we talk about large language models. There'll be limitations on the context size it has been trained on. There'll be limitation on the bias on the kind of data it has been trained on, and on the output it can generate, right? It's all dependent on how it was trained. Everything is dependent on the limitation. Also is basically on how it was trained, and also on the size of the parameters, right? Okay. So where I was, yes. So as I said, that this is what we do when we give a prompt. We basically try to push it to generate the next word. Now, these models are trained on a humongous corpus. This is a little bit of the older generation models, but you still see how these older generation models were trained also on humongous amount of data, which is publicly available, right? So this is their training corpus, so to speak. Okay. Now, as I said, that how does these words come, right? So if you have a model which is basically going to predict the probability of the next word given a sequence of words, okay, so let's say that the sequence of words is the cat sat on the, right, that's the sequence of words. Now, most likely in books, in maybe some novels or in some articles, people are talking about their cat, or the story has a cat which was sitting on the mat or on the carpet, right? There is very less chance that the cat was sitting on the giraffe in any literature, right? However, it will predict the probability of the word being the most probable next. And what happens is that if you there are parameters by which you can make this flexibility, that you must choose from among the top k probables, or you choose the top probable word, right? So if you allow a little bit flexibility, it gives it the chance to pick up a sample from the probables, which means you are allowing it the flexibility to be creative. Okay, if you let it become too creative, that's a danger, because then it might spill something which is nonsensical. Okay, so if you allow it a little flexibility to be creative, it can sample between most likely probable outcomes and maybe choose one of them, right? So that kind of shows us how a single word comes. Okay. How do you get an entire paragraph? Today you prompt ChatGPT, you get a whole book out, right? How do you get a whole book out? So today, or how these models work is, you give it a prompt, it will predict, of course it will predict what is the most likely next word, and it will append it like something like a auto regression, if I can use that term. It appends that word to itself meaning to the prompt, and feeds it again and again and again, and does a repeat inference process till a certain contextual or semantic limit is reached, and it stops. Okay, so that is how you get a full paragraph. So for example, if you give sisters and brothers off followed by America, or just leave it, it goes back, and then it tries to generate a next possible word, and you will see that chances are that you will get chances are that what you may get is the Swami Vivekananda's Chicago address, full Chicago address coming from this one, right? So that's how these models work. Okay, now the question is that so we understood the concept, right? The probability of the next most work, but how do this happen? How is this computed, right? So behind it, the core, I did talk about the transformer architecture a little bit, but there is a core concept of sequence models. Of course, there's Bayesian math, there's transformers, but sequence models is kind of a very core to this area, right? Okay, so now what we are going to do is, before we go into the different LLMs which are there and existing today, and into the world of prompts, and how a prompt matters or does not matter, let us quickly take a small journey through sequence models. Just a small journey through sequence models. Okay. So I will pause here a little bit, and let me take some interim questions in the meanwhile. Okay, so you may post in the chat, please, if you have any, or does anyone want to call out a question? Somebody had a question on the chat. I'm not sure if I had answered that question, but What I'm saying is that, do you have any questions so far? Or I would go and take you through the journey of the sequence models. Should I do that? Or is there anybody with some questions that I can quickly maybe quickly handle? Please let me know. I'm just pausing for a minute here, waiting for the audience or anyone to ask. Okay. So if there is no questions, then I will take you through a quick journey of sequence models. Okay. Someone wants to say something? Okay.
Yeah, this is
Fine.
Dr. Dipankar. Nobody is asking
Yeah.
question. For that reason, I am asking one question.
Okay,
So,
please.
uh, see, you told that how ChatGPT or these LLM models are generating the next word,
Yes,
but
fundamentally the next word. Yes,
yeah,
yes,
yeah. So, but in case of ChatGPT, most of the time, what we are doing, we are asking a question, and then
yes,
ChatGPT is giving answer.
yes. It is giving answer.
Okay,
Correct. Yes, yes,
giving answer. So
yes.
it is not just predicting the next word; it is something else. So
Okay,
how it is
so it
doing?
is giving an answer. What you are asking is a question to the human. To the chat GPT, it is a sequence of words.
Yes.
Your question is a question to the human eye or the human brain. To the model, a question is not a question. It is a sequence of words in some order. Okay. And it understands that if that is because they have been trained, right? These models have been trained with question answering, sentiment analysis. They've been trained in multiple ways. And today's models are so advanced that there is a concept called mixture of experts, which I'm not talking in detail today. But basically, if your ask is a certain kind, then that part of the model gets activated. If its ask is whether this text is positive or negative, certain parts of the neural network architecture get fired, and therefore you get response of a certain nature, right? If it's a QA, it's a response of a certain nature. So, and by the way, today's models are not just next word predictors. On top of it, they have reasoning, thinking. So a lot of reinforcement learning, etc., has gone on top of it. So the answer which you get is a more refined, calibrated answer, which feels, again, I'm using these words, feels, looks like, to the human brain, as an AI model is really giving me an answer, and I am kind of, really wowed by it, right? So this is what it is. A good model is supposed to make you feel like that. When I say a good model, means the persons, that their team or the company which has crafted that model, they're trying to make it look and feel more human like, but inside it is a set of text converted to numbers going in, and a response against that text, probabilistic response against that text being generated, or maybe a sequence of response getting generated, which then passes through maybe 2 3 4 layers of reasoning and reinforcement learning, and then you get a refined, calibrated response which looks to you like an answer, right? Someone did mention that, though. Thank you for that. Someone did mention that in the, I think, in the chat. We just saw that, right? So does that help you, Dr. Datta? Yes.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Right. Okay. All right. So now we will go into what is called a sequence model, right? So I have a short deck, so it won't be too much of a theory part here. I don't want to make it a very, very theoretical out here. But let me share my screen once again. Okay. So if you see, I have basically trying to get your attention to what is known as sequence modeling, right? So a sequence model is a model, very simple. It takes a sequence of items and outputs another sequence. That's why it's called sequence to sequence. Now, an output could be, how are you? And maybe the model is trained to say that in another language, right? So if you look at this simple diagram, the there is a sequence, like the first word is how, or you can say at time t1, or just call it time step 1, the input is how, right? The next time step, the input is r. After that, the input is u, and after that the input is the question mark symbol. Okay. Now, as you know that machines don't really understand English language. So there is a whole topic called embeddings or word embeddings, where certain methodology is used. Again, it's basically a deep learning model at the back end, which works where these text words are converted into multi-dimensional vectors, numbers basically, right? And they are passed as input at every stage, and some information of each stage is fed onto the next stage, right? And then it also gets an input from the next stage. So these blocks are not blocks. Each of them could be a RNN block or a RNN cell. And what happens is each input is fed. The model has learned in a certain way to provide an output, and then it combines the output with the input of that step, generates an output for the next cell. And like that, you get a output, a single numeric encoded output, which is called the context in a sequence to sequence model. Now the context is fed to the decoder, which is now trained that given the context, what should come out at step 1, and then what comes out at step 1 is fed at step 2, and some information from the prior step, not the output, but some part of the original context is passed through to the second step of the decoder, and the decoder outputs something at step 2 and at step 3 and maybe step 4 till there is an end of token or kind of a marker. So this is sequence to sequence. What happens here is the entire information hidden in the input sequence is clubbed into a single context. The single context, and it's a vector, okay? A single context is then passed as input to the decoder, and it has some capacity to decode. Okay. Now, a very basic sequence to sequence model loses the information of the order of the input. It combines into one. So there is a certain loss. So that's was the original models, right? With the sequence models. Okay. So this is a simple representation of the same. So you have a input, which is it's the French of I am a student. It goes as inputs. There is some amount of a 4-dimensional vector. So each of these words is combined and as a transformed into a 4-dimensional vector. But in real situation, embedding vectors would be 200, 300, or even 600, 650, 700 size. That many dimensional vectors is happening, or even larger probably today. So basically, these vectors capture some semantic information about the word, which means that if I consider the English word king, which is a ruler and a male ruler, and I subtract from it the English word man, and I add to that mixture the English word woman, what happens behind is the vector for king is added to the vector for woman, from which the vector for man is subtracted, and you've guessed it right. The numeric vector, which is the result of this vector addition and subtraction, would be a vector which is numerically very, very similar to the vector for the English word queen, right? So this is the beauty of embeddings, which is again a topic in itself separately, but just to give you a very simple idea, this is the most common example used in embeddings, right? So basically what happens in these sequence models is you have a RNN block, a recurrent neural network block, where a certain input comes at a time step 1. It starts with a certain hidden state, and you have a certain output vector, and it passes on a certain hidden state as well, right? So a flow could be like this, that at initial time steps, you pass these three words. It goes to the encoder. The encoder emits a context goes to the decoder. The decoder then spits out in time steps that I am a student, right? So this is a typical sequence to sequence flow of a translation. But there is a problem. Because the encoder passes to the decoder one single vector, it loses track of the importance of the sequence of the words, and maybe there is some contextual information regarding which word, subject, object of the verb, and things like that. That gets a little bit lost, and if it's a long sentence, that loses that initial context information. To overcome this, the famous concept of attention based models were designed. In attention based models, there is a concept of providing an importance to the input and a different importance to the different input positions. All right. Okay. So let's look at this one. So let's say that your inputs are all here in the score. There is some kind of a weight matrix. I am not going through the math of this one, but it's some weight multiplication, some normalization of the scores, so that you kind of don't have too large numbers or so. And then when you do this vector multiplication of the original weights with their scores and you sum up, you get a context vector for a certain stage, and for every stage you will get a different context vector. So now what happens is that at each stage you have the, what I call is the luxury to give a different attention weight to different part of the input, and at each stage of the decoder it has the luxury to face it. Okay, so if you forget the diagram here but look at the more simple explanation here, the input is I am a student in French, and the output should be I am a student in English. Okay. Now, this word, which is in position 1 in French, has more resonance with the English word I. This word has more resonance with the English word am, less resonance with a, lower resonance with student and I. And étudiant probably has very high resonance with student, probably means student exactly in French. So this is more contextually related to the fourth position here. Okay. So now if you look at it in a different way, that which position gives attention to which position of the input. So this heat map gives you a very layman's explanation of that. Okay. Now, the RNN-based sequence to sequence model initially was losing the contextual memory. Now, with attention mechanism, this was introduced, but still it required some more, tuning, right? So the transformer architecture addresses the two key limitations of this model. That is the long range dependencies between words. So if you give a very long sentence, it was difficult to keep track of if which verb or noun at the end of the sentence is related with which adjective in the front of the sentence. It was not able to get that relationship clearly, right? And also these models process the input sequentially, so one going into another going into the next, which means this is high computation design. The transformer architecture did parallelly process it, all of it together, and addresses these limitations and relied on the benefits of this, what we discussed in a very simple way, the concept of attention, right? Okay, so that's how these models improved to the GPT level, which is again where we are way beyond the GPT-3 level today. But this is a simple deck which explains the concept of attention. Okay, so this is where basically the simple input of simple concept of sequence to sequence is done, right? Okay. So what I would want to do now is go into more of the demo part of the workshop, which is where a lot of the current interest lies, because of the fact that today we are more using these tools, right? The development of the tools have been done. We are mostly users of the tool, and also we are in the realm of agentic AI today. So let's start with a little bit of prompting. Let's see the nuanced difference of these tools. Let's try to understand that if you run a prompt and I run a prompt at the same time, is there a difference in output? And when I say you and me, I mean the audience here. We are going to run prompts at the same time. We are going to see if there is a difference in the output. We are going to try to explain why this difference may occur. And we shall also see the difference in input or output between a prompt and 2 or 3 different LLMs or these models, right? And we will also demonstrate some nice techniques where you can leverage different tools for, well, different things, right? Okay. So let us first start with the construct of a prompt. Now, some of you may be experts in prompt, but I would still want to ask the audience that is there anybody who is not very sure about what constitutes a good prompt? You can say on the call, or you can put it in the chat. So just to have a perspective, please let's all participate. So if you are, all of you are aware of what constitutes a good prompt is fine, but would anybody want to know what constitutes a good prompt, or can you tell the audience what constitutes a good prompt? Please, anyone, feel free. Okay. Sukant Avasti, Rishikant wants to know more. Fine. Is there anyone who has some idea about what constitutes a good prompt? Anyone? Some idea? Like, what is a good prompt? A good question is a good prompt? Anyone wants to contribute? Please feel free to contribute. Yes, someone was trying to speak out. You can speak out, or you can type in the chat. Go ahead. Go ahead. Please go ahead. I'm not able to hear. In case you are trying something, I'm not able to hear. But please feel free to contribute.
Good prompt is how you search the data or how you get the actual result. Okay. So based
Okay.
on your prompt, you will get a accurate result.
Yes, we do understand that based on our prompt, we may get an accurate result. That is a perfectly well said statement. But as Amit Kumar Mondal has said, there is a certain rule, or let's not even call it a rule. There is a certain methodology which goes into a prompt. Okay. Okay. For the sake of demonstration, let me do like this. Let me share my screen now, okay, for the sake of demonstration. So I'm going to share my screen again. And so that all of you can see, I am going to write a prompt in a Word document, maybe a new prompt, not this one. Okay, so let me write a prompt in the Word document. So it's magnified, so you can see the, you can see my word. Okay, so let us say, for example, that we want to write a very simple prompt that I want to get some note on integration by parts. Just take an educational example. Okay, so a simple prompt could be, give me a note on and ChatGPT will give you a note. Okay, you are going to get a response, right? You're definitely going to get a response. So is this a good prompt? Probably not. Let's make it a good prompt, as one of you have mentioned. Let's make it a good prompt. Who wants this output, I want this output, or you as in you are chat gpt, you are going to behave like somebody. So you are a, let's say, high school maths teacher. That gives the LLM tool a level of perspective. All right, fine. What is your ask? You are ask meaning context here. You are creating a note for 11th graders for math to explain the topic integration by parts. So I have given the role and I have, so to speak, specified the context. Okay, so I have given the role, I have specified the context. Fine. Okay. Note, I have also specified the audience here. Right. So I have specified the role, I have specified the context, I have specified the audience. Now let's give some details about the task. So what we are doing here is understanding what makes a good prompt. Okay. This is what we are trying to do. All right. Okay. So now you have to give some details. So maybe you may want to do that. Please provide, or you don't want to even say please, just say provide. That's fine. It can be rude. Provide a simple step-by-step example to demonstrate by parts. Okay. So I want a note for 11th graders. The topic is integration by parts. My detailed technical ask is provide a simple step-by-step example to demonstrate integration by parts. Fine. We are all happy. That's it. Okay. Now, that's not it. Okay. So this is the role. That's your audience. This is the context. The ask. That's your ask. Okay. Now, you have to give something more. So what is the format of the output? Okay. Let's make it little mathematical or little codey. Okay. So it's a math note and I want the output as a LaTeX document. All right, fine. Is that it? Is that enough? I've given the output format. Okay, maybe you want to, well, provide a limit on the volume. Keep the note to between 3 to 4 pages, not more than that. So this is volume limit. Okay. Now look at everything which is highlighted in yellow. Okay. So I am specifically saying the role, the context, the ask, the output format, and the volume limit. Why am I mentioning all of these things, right? So I am mentioning all of these things to provide a more precise question. Remember, these models are not really intelligent. They would generate a response given an input. So if your input has room for ambiguity, then you may get different responses. A, every time you query. B, you may not get the response you are seeking. Okay. and see, these days the models are smart. It may ask you and it may prompt you, were you looking for this, were you looking for that, right? Even if you did not ask. Now I do a lot of prompting. ChatGPT knows my persona, so it has understood the kind of responses I am accepting and like, and therefore it is tuned for me. Now what I want to do is I want to copy this prompt and I want to paste it in the chat here. Okay. So yes, Aditya Kumar Maji, yes, nowadays ChatGPT answers in Hindi. I have not tried Bengali. In a recent workshop, I've tried Hindi and Japanese. It gave back answer in Japanese and in Hindi to give you a perspective. So that would mean, to the best of my knowledge, multimodal and multilingual training. That's the only way that is possible. I mean, from a very using a very commonsensical way to answer. I don't really know how they have done it, but the way to do it would have been a multilingual, multimodal input and output, right? Unless there is a embedding for Bengali characters. Basically, I am not sharing anything. Abhijit, I am pasting the prompt in the chat. Did you guys get the prompt in the chat? I am not sharing screen right now. So I have pasted the prompt in the chat so that you can copy and run the prompt. So I want you to please run the prompt on your chat GPT. Please run this prompt on your chat GPT. And I am going to run the prompt on chat GPT and I will share my screen after now. Okay. So I'm sharing my screen now. And I am going to copy this from here. And I'm going to go to my chat GPT. And I see some of these have been, well, not done probably. Okay, so let me just open a new chat GPT window out here. 1 second. Yeah, so I'm going to open a new chat GPT window and a new chat. Okay, and I will kind of decrease the magnification a little bit so it's more readable. And I will paste this. Now watch something here. As I pasted it, it first took it as an image. I'm going to cross that out. Why is it taking it as an image? I pasted text. Now this is an observation I have. If I copy some text from a Microsoft object like Word or PowerPoint, some of these GPT tools take it as an image. But if you were to copy from a notepad kind of a tool, it would take it as a text. It's not a very big headache, just that you don't want to process an image where processing a text could have done it, right? So that's it. So that's what it is. Now I am running my site and I would request you all to please try this. Okay, please try this prompt and see if what you get, and I will show you how to compile this as well. Okay, so I'm getting some output. It's still happening. It's still happening. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to copy code. So see, I've copied this code here. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to go to basically a notepad and paste it. Okay. So this is my notepad where I have pasted it. I'm going to save this as, let's say, integration by parts. So let's call it math1.tex. Tex is for text, which is a LaTeX file. Okay. So if you are following me, you would have got some output, and I would request you to copy that output. Please put it in a notepad. Save the notepad as ABC or math1.tex. Okay. I have saved it on my desktop now. All right. Now, what we are going to do is we are going to a tool called Overleaf. Okay. Overleaf is a free tool. Overleaf, this is the tool. This is the tool, Overleaf Online LaTeX Editor. This is the tool. So please go through this free tool. It's there is no need to provide any credit card number or anything. You can quickly create an account with a Gmail ID. And what I am going to do is basically upload. Well, I do have a Math1 TX I see from before. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to delete Math2 TX as well. And yes, and I'm going to upload from here Math1.txt. All right. Now I click on this and the file loads here. I do recompile and I get a PDF output. Okay. So now look, I have got a neat lecture note on integration by parts. As I said, it has to be simple, it has to be step by step, and it has to be within 3 to 4 pages, right? So this is what I got as an example, and this is what I got from my output. So let me go to the example. It's x e to the power x dx, right? So I'm going to just pause here a little bit, and I would request, okay, so I have a question from, yes, please go ahead.
Sir, in place of pasting notepad, if we paste the code to the WinEdit directly, and if I run that code, then we will get the same result.
So basically, the easy answer to your question is, if you have a LaTeX compiler and you are pasting a LaTeX code on it, it should compile. Very simple answer. Now, I don't have a LaTeX compiler with me, so I am uploading a LaTeX file, which is a .tex file. I have to upload it to this free online LaTeX compiler called Overleaf, which I showed you, and I compiled it and I got my PDF output. So that's a simple answer.
Oh.
Now, may I request someone from the audience to please try it, and if possible, let us know, did you get x e to the power x or did you get something else? The same prompt. I want at least 2-3 people to say what you got. What is the simple example that ChatGPT gave you? Please try. Take a minute or so to try. While you are trying this, I'm going to run the exact same prompt in another LLM. Let's say, for example, let's try it on Claude and maybe Elon Musk's Grok, and let's see if the output is behaving differently. The same input. Okay. So I am now going to, let's say, Grok. Okay. So a new chat in Grok. Okay. And create a new chat. And okay. So I will probably have the prompt here. Oh, no. This is the output itself. So I will go to my Word document. I have the prompt here. Copy it. I will go to Grok, paste it. Let's see what Grok gives. Meanwhile, may I request the audience to please try it at your end and let us know, did you get x e to the power x or something else? Did you get the same kind of document as I got or something else, right? So what we are testing here is, I am running a prompt in ChatGPT 4o. If you run the prompt in ChatGPT 4o, are you getting the same answer or are you getting a different answer? And if you have ChatGPT 5, please run it and tell us what you are getting. Okay. So Grok is doing something else here. Okay. See what Grok is doing. Okay. Grok has the document, and then it's not a LaTeX code per se. It has somewhere compiled the LaTeX code, and it has, well, given the similar explanation, But again, it is taking x e to the power x, I guess, because probably this is one of the simplest examples around, right? So long story short, yes, it has taken the same example. Okay. So can anyone help with, did you guys get the same output as I got, or did you get something else? So I will show you the output I got is this. Okay. So this is the output I got, the rule explained, then the choice of u and dv, so that explanation. Then x e to the power x is my example problem with step-by-step solution, and it gives me 4 problems to practice, and it says tips and common mistakes and a conclusion and end of note and 3 pages of output. Please may I request at least 1 or 2 people from the audience to say what are you getting. You have seen my note. I can share it again, but I want to know, did you get the same thing or not? Can anyone help? Dr. Datta or Dipankar or anyone who had answered before, could you try? Anyone? Are you getting at least the same construct, same style of the construct? I will share my screen once more, so just so that you get to see my construct. So this is what I have got. I have got a introduction, the how do you choose u and dv. I have got the example problem done. Then I have got 4 practice problems, which are these 4 practice problems, and tips and common mistakes, and a conclusion note, right? So what I'm trying to see is, I have given this prompt to ChatGPT 4.0 and got this output.
Sir, I got the same output.
Exactly the same output?
No, I got 4 problems, practice problems.
Yes.
3 points for summary.
Yes.
And 1, 2, 3 special cases.
Okay. So
Yes.
you've got additionally the special cases. I did not get the special cases.
Yeah, I got the special cases as well.
Okay. Can I have one more volunteer, please, from the audience? Thank you so much, Amit Sharma. Can I have one more volunteer, please?
Welcome.
One more volunteer, please. Any one person. Anyone? Did you get anything different? So this will help us understand that I am running a prompt, you are running the same prompt, we are using the same LLM, we are getting different output. This is what I wanted to show and demonstrate. Right? We have demonstrated it in principle, but I just want to hear from any one person, anyone else. Can anyone share or just comment in the chat what you have seen?
It might be differ, sir, because of the model we are using. I have run this code on ChatGPT 5.
Okay. I have run it on the 4.0. You have seen my ChatGPT screen, right? It was the legacy model which was selected.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Understood. Okay. Fine. So models change, the output can change. Persona changes, the output changes. Meaning there is a chance that if I run the code and you run the code, or I run the prompt and you run the prompt, we might get a little bit of dissimilarity. That is because of ChatGPT also keeps track of how we are prompting. It keeps track of our persona, and it will bias the output based on our persona. So remember that even though 2 persons are running the same prompt on the same LLM together at the same time, you still have a chance that they will not be same. This is what I'm trying to hint and not hint, actually, just be very explicit about. Okay, fine. So we saw ChatGPT, right? Okay. Now, let's ask ChatGPT another prompt, okay? And let's try to compare that prompt with the output from Perplexity, okay? And see, is there a variation? I will come to the Claude-based examples, but now we are trying to see one LLM against another. What we saw is same LLM, different models, 2 people got different output, slightly. Now I will try to demonstrate the differences between LLMs, same prompt, same person. So same person, my persona, I would do. If you want to insert a picture to your note, what kind of prompt should it be? Okay, so I will help you here. Okay, you want to insert a picture to your note. All right. You can do it two ways. Let's demonstrate. Okay. All right. So let us generate an image first, and then I will demonstrate how you can insert a picture to your note. Okay. So let me share my screen, and then I will come to the other example, by the way. Okay. We can go on for 2 hours, but we will never stop with examples. But let me, for the sake of time, just come to Gemini. I'm sharing my screen, I hope. Okay. So generate a pencil sketch style cartoon of a monkey trying to learn. Provide a catchy tagline. How about that? It's a nice image to get. Okay. So I am prompting Gemini to give me an image of a monkey trying to learn integration by parts, and that also a pencil sketch style cartoon. So this is an example of a prompt where a text prompt generates an image. Okay. As you can see, generative AI has messed up. A monkey usually is supposed to have two hands. Somewhere a human hand has come in the picture. These are those nuances of generative AI going haywire, right? Let's, for fun, download this image of this monkey, so-called. Okay. So, and it says that this problem is bananas. So that's a pun, right? That's a pun. Okay. So I have got a monkey image in my downloads. To make it simple, I am just renaming it as monkey.png, just to make the name simple. Monkey.png. All right. Okay. Now watch. I'm going back to ChatGPT. Search chats, integration by parts. So, okay. So I may have reached the limit for my GPT plan. So I will have to shift to another LLM now. I will probably go to Claude, because my free limit is done for the day. I guess I had run a lot of prompts today, but that's not a problem. Okay. So let's go to Claude. Okay. So I will now prompt Claude. Okay. Generate a LaTeX note for me. I can actually copy that prompt from here. Okay. I can copy that prompt from here, and I should be having that Word document somewhere. Yeah, integration by parts. So I'm going to add a little bit change to the prompt. Okay. Start with integrating, or not integrating. Okay. Have the LaTeX code in such a way that the document starts with the image of a monkey, which will be named monkey.png and will be in the same folder as this LaTeX file will be kept for compilation. Okay. Now remember, I already have my monkey, right? Now I am going to integrate an image which I already have with my LaTeX document. Okay. Done. Copied. I'm going to Claude, because my free limit is done for ChatGPT. So it doesn't matter which LLM I'm using. It's a concept. Thankfully, I have a pro account here, so I can run a bit more muscle out here. So I am getting some output from Claude. As you can see here, I'm getting some output from Claude. I will show you exactly where the monkey comes and how the image comes in. Okay. So if you have an image which you want to incorporate, and if you want to incorporate in a certain page or somewhere, you can either prompt and say, or you can change the LaTeX code. It's not very difficult to change the LaTeX code, but then you have to compile a couple of times to see it is coming right or not. Now, I download this as text and I go to my downloads folder and I do this. I just make the name smaller here, math.text, use.text. Okay. Now remember, I have to give the monkey and the math.text in the same folder. Let's create a quick folder and let's call it test. Put these two guys in that folder. Go to here and let's call it test also. So I'm going to map test to test. I'm going to go now inside test here probably. And let's see if I can upload this one in the folder under test. Yes, successful. Then I'm going to upload the monkey. Well, my monkey, my monkey went inside text. I'm sorry. I have to upload math.text, not math1. I'll delete math. It doesn't matter. Math1 can stay there. And I have to upload monkey and keep them in the same folder. Okay, so now you see under my folder test, forget math1, I have monkey and math.text. I click on math.text and I click on recompile. You see, you got the monkey there. Okay, of course, formatting can be different from output to output, and it gives some nice colorful formatting also. But the monkey came there. Okay, now if you know a little bit of LaTeX, you can change the size of this image, the position of this image. Like here, it says begin document and begin center include graphics width equal to 0.3. You can put some white space here or change the width of the image. You can play around with the LaTeX code here and make the monkey big or small or appear in the center of the page or something like that. Have text over it or above it, right? So basically that's where the monkey, or you can incorporate any image, right? So that is how you do it in LaTeX, right? So it's just basically integrating it in the code itself, but you have to keep them in the same folder. Okay, so I'm stop presenting. So I hope your question is answered. The last question you have, Dipankar. I hope it's answered, right? Okay, so I will go back to what I was trying to demonstrate. I was trying to demonstrate the nuanced difference between Perplexity and ChatGPT, but since my ChatGPT is kind of off, let me try to see if I can, well, it is giving me off on my legacy models, but let's see if I'm allowed to chat. I'm just going to, so I'm back with ChatGPT 5. So I'm going to ask a very simple question here, right? I need to write a 2-page report, and please let me know if my screen is shared or not. So sometimes I'm switching between sharing.
No, sir, it is not shared.
Okay, I will share it because I'm switching between sharing and non-sharing modes. That is why. Okay, fine. You should be able to see it now. Please let me know. Right? So you should be able to see it now.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to write a prompt that I wish to write a 2-page report on the effect of global warming on coral reefs across the world. Simple. Here I am not going into the intricacies of a prompt that I am a researcher at the university level or that. Just want to show you a nuanced difference. Let's run this. Okay. first thing you will observe is if it's ChatGPT 5, it has this thinking longer for a better answer. It keeps thinking. I don't know. My setup keeps thinking for 2, 3, 4 minutes, and then only I get an answer nowadays. So I don't know what is wrong with ChatGPT 5, but anyway, we're getting some answers. I am going to Perplexity, and I will also do the same in Perplexity. Yeah, I got. Let me just close this window. I got my report. Okay, effect of global warming on coral reefs worldwide. Executive summary: what it is doing to the reefs. So problem 1, problem 2, state of the reefs, a global picture. Great Barrier Reef. Well, it has only talked about Great Barrier Reef. Consequences: how they can be protected. Okay. And it goes on to, so if I don't give explicitly which reef, it probably takes up the most famous reef of them all, which is the Great Barrier Reef. All right, so a little bit more on what can be done to reduce this effect of global warming, blah blah blah, etc etc etc. Let it finish. Okay. I want to let the generation finish. Okay. All right. Meanwhile, Perplexity. What are coral reefs and why are they important? How global warming affects coral reefs, bleaching event, additional climate change impacts, okay, future outlook, recent events and statistics, and summary. You can see easily that the output from ChatGPT is way more detailed. Okay, as you can see, it's more structured, it has more subsections, and it is more detailed. Okay. Now go back to Perplexity and see, it's a little brief report, and it has these nice references coming up. Now I copy this from Perplexity, and I go to the Word and I paste whatever I have copied. You see that Perplexity gives you, forget the font formatting and all, which got distorted. Perplexity gives you a good thing. It gives you references. So that's the good part, right? But nowadays I am finding its research level output is not as great. Whereas ChatGPT output is good. I'll call it good. Structured, detailed. Let's copy the output of ChatGPT also. Copy. I'll again go to this Word, paste it after here. Okay, so this is ChatGPT's output. Where it starts from? Starts from here. What global warming does to leaf, blah, blah, blah. There is a link provided. There is a link provided everywhere. There is a link provided. But there is no reference list like that. There is a link wherever a link was there. Okay. Now, you've got two outputs in front of you. Let me stop sharing the screen. Two, three takeaways here. Okay. So now, one takeaway is, as content, ChatGPT is better. Definitely, no doubts about it. Structurally, it is better. But it did not give me that detailed reference list which Perplexity gave me. I need to be having all the references so that I don't have to, copy paste and create my reference list. Now, what's the best way to generate a report with references? I would say use a combination of ChatGPT and Perplexity, and then prompt back to probably ChatGPT that now you provide an output which has the references both provided as a number or as a kind of an index, and at the end like shown below. Okay, and refer to all these sources if you feel these sources from Perplexity are important, right? So if you see, just the output of one LLM is not giving us the satisfaction, but if there was a combination of these two, we would be very happy, right? Now, this is a recent observation, right? 3 months back, when I was running prompts, Perplexity was the winner. It was giving very good output with respect to research kind of questions. But recent 2 months, I am seeing ChatGPT is giving better output. But of course, the Perplexity has the edge of that reference list which comes out at the end, right? So this is a nuanced difference which I have observed. I do not know if you have observed it or not, but as part of the demonstration today, I wanted to show this as one of the demonstrable takeaways. There is a nuanced difference, not only in the output, but also in the structure of the output. Okay. Now, as you can see, I have something to show in Claude as well. So we kind of paused from Claude. Now, let's say that you want to create not code. I know that people are using Claude to generate Python code or Java code or whatever, but you can create fantastic demos as well. Okay, let's demonstrate the demo. Okay, I have already got output to show you, but we want to show you live. We don't want to show you the output. We want to show you live. Okay. Can we show you live? Some of it, semi-live at least, right? So let me go to Claude and take a demo of a simple physics phenomena and try to create a demo out of it. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to share my screen now. Okay, please let me know if my screen is visible. Dr. Datta?
Yes, visible, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, have a look here. Very simple problem. Okay. Explain the concept of basic trigonometry using a demo-based interactive example of the height of a lighthouse or a tree based on distance and shadow, etc. Use HTML for the demo. This is for 9th graders. Well, I could make it 8th graders as well, but let's make it 9th graders. All right. Let's see the power of Claude in generating demos. Code, it is, well, people are generating tons and tons of code. I'm not going to code part of it. But demos for everyday use. And the demo can be on any topic. It doesn't have to be a physics simulation, right? You'll be boggled at the level of chemistry simulation it can do, the level of economic simulation it can do, and even biology simulations I have tried. It is amazing where it has reached today. So let's see whether this works or not. Okay. Now, for fun, I want to also run this on. Let's see if I can run this on ChatGPT, or will it say that I have run out of my limit? Then I will go to Claude basically. Go to Grok basically. So I'm running it in ChatGPT 5, and here I'm running it here. I have got some output. Let's see what kind of an output this is. So, trigonometry in action. Okay. Now you see, there is an explanation. There is a slider. There is a slider here of the height of the eye. Let's take the example of a tree, building, and lighthouse. But there is a problem with, because angle of elevation was high. Okay, fine. There was a little problem, I would say, with respect to the output. I could have given it a prompt, but its frame of reference was so that the height of the object was getting cut off. That's a HTML thing. Okay. But I can in effect have 3 different kind of problems. I can change the parameters there. Okay, angle of elevation I can change, and I can get some output done. Okay. Now, as I said that this is just one output. You can change the prompt, make it more focused and get better output, right? Let's see if we got something better from, we've been trying Grok somewhere. Yeah. Did I try? Oh, I tried it in Chat GPT, I guess, not Grok. So I have got something here. I'm going to copy whatever I got into a notepad. I'm going to copy this into a notepad, paste it. I'm going to save this notepad as, trigonometry, trigo.html on my desktop. And I'm going to click and run. Simple click and run. All right. What did I get? I got a very dark screen, which is blue in color, and it's not very visually appealing here. Okay, it's not very visually appealing. That's the problem. And you have already seen there are no sliders here. What do I drag or what do I do, right? So when it comes to making some sophisticated output, these tools don't perform the way Claude performs, right? Okay. Now I can prompt Claude to make it better. Check the code, make it visually appealing, ensure the entire diagram is visible in the rectangle even when dimensions change. It is going to correct the code a little bit. It is going to ensure that the code height remains within the visible window, because if I want to give a height change and I don't see the top, that visual appeal is lost, right? So I want to have something which is visually appealing, not just a tool. I want to have that visual effect as well, right? Now you can extrapolate and do physics simulations, projectile motion, rotationary motion, centrifugal force. Just kind of go wild with your imagination on what you can do with this. All right, it's as you can see, it's changing the code in front of you, and I hope that the output is a better one now. It's just a hope. All right, let's see what comes out. Okay, so it is really doing a lot of change in the styling, in the style part of the HTML, right? It's not changing the functionality, but it's changing the style, and it's working here. Okay, now sometimes if you see, Claude may stop. You may have to press a continue button. If the code gets too complicated, it may go into a hallucination regime of error. These are things which might happen, by the way. Okay, so let it do its job, and let's see if I've got something. If I don't have something, I still have something to explain. Okay, now see the problem here. Can you see the problem? I am still don't have the, I can't see the top part of my structure, unless, well, I don't know how to unless I do this right. So if I go beyond, it goes out of my visible rectangle. What I wanted specifically was that this stays within and is resized, right? It could not do it. So these are, and it gave the same kind of error. So this is a classic example of this model going into hallucination. And if I repeat it again and again, I will not get this error corrected. I probably have to throw away this prompt and start from scratch, write a different prompt, or maybe use another LLM, or maybe change it myself, right? But you have seen the power of what it can do as well, right? So uh, I want to stop sharing and just kind of converge on everything that we have discussed. So I think we have 5 more minutes. So just to converge, uh, we spoke about what is generative AI, and I stressed on the word generative. A little bit under the hood at a very 50,000 feet level, that concept of sequence. Okay. Then we went into a different part of today's webinar, that is going into prompt structuring. Then we learned that if two people run the same prompt in the same tool, but different models, you get different outputs. And of course, you get different outputs if you run it in different LLMs. We demonstrated using these AI tools very practically to create educational content and like mathematical notes in LaTeX. So where the final output needed another step, which is again a free software, by the way, right? So it's not really costing you anything to do that, right? We've seen that with a little bit of imagination, you can create great demos with Claude, but maybe you will need a paid account for it. Otherwise, you want to run out of balance. Another thing we saw that for generic research kind of questions, wherein, as I told you, from my past experience, Perplexity was better, but these days I'm finding ChatGPT to give more structured content. However, I don't get that reference list at the end, which, as I told you, there is a way out for that. So overall, kind of what I'm trying to conclude is that we have today at our disposal tools which are powerful enough. If they're paid, maybe you have a little more muscle to use. It is important to understand how they work at a 50,000 feet level so that you can become a better user. Now, if you want to become a designer, that's a whole next level game. Then probably have to start with transformer architecture, neural network, coding, fine tuning, and all of that, which probably is not what this session intends to do. What this session intends to do is introduce the concept of generative AI, demonstrate prompt engineering, and showcase how you can use these tools for day-to-day educational work or content creation, and how best to use these tools. And we also got the chance to show you a real hallucination situation. So with that, I pause and I open the floor for questions, and then I would hand it over to the moderator for the session. Dr. Ghosh, you can take over, or Dr. Datta.
Is there any question?
Anyone has any question? Did you get a chance to try something new in this webinar? You can respond with a yes or something like that. We see a response from Rishi. He's saying, learn to generate PDF by using LaTeX code with different prompt. I have created notes for my subject. So do you have any view on anything? Is there a point you want to comment on? Feel free. You can post it in the chat. Even if it's not a question, it can be a comment or something that maybe you came to know or you have tried right now and found out. So please let us know as well. Let the audience know if you found something interesting. Other than those who participated. So I'm just trying to prompt the larger silent population to also respond. I guess no.
Yes, anyone can answer.
Yeah. So anyone, if you have a finding, if you saw something, how about those who responded, right? Amit Sharma, you want to comment on something?
Sir, I have done the same prompt. That one where you have done. I wish to write 2-page report on the effect of global warming.
Yeah.
So I have used the same prompt on Gemini. I have used the same prompt on ChatGPT 5 and Perplexity. I mean,
Okay.
I was surprised on the same chat over which we have draw this monkey. I have write the prompt, so I got the latex code, whereas I have not write to generate the latex code in the prompt.
Okay, wait. Are you saying to us that you did not do a new chat? You were in the same chat history where you previously generated a LaTeX code, right?
Yes, 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 yes.
And you did not ask for a LaTeX code, but just a
Still,
two-page.
it is giving the latex code.
Okay, that is a very good find, and thank you for sharing, Amit. That shows it is giving you the response in the context of the chat memory.
Yes.
Had you clicked on new chat, maybe you would not have seen this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And on perplexity and on this Gemini, uh, I have got this different output for
Hmm.
the same prompt.
Huh.
And I think you were right about this. If we will mix the content of both of them, then we'll be getting a very good two-page report of this effect on global warming or kind of something.
Absolutely.
Right.
If you mix the two and then use a third prompt, that third prompt will give you the best final product.
Yes, yes, yes. And then that.
Now, let me give you one more tip.
Mhm.
Now that you know you can generate LaTeX,
Mhm.
don't write that third prompt. Shoot everything to Claude and say, compile all of this as a research paper with proper references. And you will get a fully compiled out, you'll get a full nice LaTeX which you can compile, which will look like a research paper with references.
So it will give the correct references, sir.
It will give the references which you provide to it. So you can get the
Okay.
references from, let's say, Perplexity and say, put this in the reference section.
Because I have tried the same thing on ChatGPT multiple times. ChatGPT gives the references. Sometime I mean, it gives the references. The actually that paper is not existed actually.
Okay. So these are also hallucination examples where there is a concept of preventing it by giving something called a guardrail query. A guardrail query is a prompt or a additional line of the prompt which is something like this: double check the references that you are giving. They should not be imaginary or artificial, they should really exist. If you add that, you may not get these fake references.
Thank you, sir. I'll try this.
Right. To answer Dipankar's question, these are not really direct application of Bayes' theorem. These are very advanced neural network constructs where the weights are trained based on the data and the output distribution. And because the weights are trained with some mathematical optimization, they are trained to predict the best possible output, which minimizes the loss. In this case, it could be a different kind of loss than a mean square error, right? So it's not really directly Bayes' theorem there, to answer your question. Right. So I think we are at the 2 minutes mark over the time. So I would hand it back to Dr. Datta or Dr. Ghosh. So yeah, I would request the moderators to take over, who's moderating the session.
One
So
more question is there.
yes, please go ahead, Dr. Datta.
No, no, no. In the chat box.
Oh, in the chat box. All right. From Amit Mondol.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, paywall. No, it will not cross paywalls. It will not be able to pick up things from where there is a paywall. And sometimes if you try to scrape data from some website, it will give you, and let's say you try to jailbreak it, that means you try to say write a Python code which will scrape this website and give me this information, and then you try to run that Python code, it will give you timeout, trying to ping that IP address, but timed out. These kind of errors will happen. I have faced this kind of errors, and this is, of course, not the first time I'm getting this question. So, yes. So, any other question? Give your email. Okay, I think you can get my LinkedIn contact from the session moderators, and I think these decks are shareable. So maybe I would request the moderator somehow to create a share for the audience here. Wait. So you can you're
We will
free.
share. We will
Yeah,
share
please
your PDF.
share, and you can share my LinkedIn as well, so people can connect with me in LinkedIn.
Yes, yes.
Okay, Dr. Atta. So I think that was all my session was about. My PPT will be shared, so don't worry about it. Okay. So that is all my session was. I just want to conclude saying, again, reiterating that the idea of my delivery today was to give you a very brief understanding of what generative in generative AI means and how it works at a 50,000 feet, and a real practical demonstration of these tools. When I say practical demonstration, doesn't mean it will always be successful. I wanted the unsuccessful parts to come out, and it came out, which will tell you how much it can do and how much it can't do. So I wanted to conclude in that way, and happy that I could do that. Thank you. So thank you all, Dr. Datta. I think we had an engaging crowd and good discussion, I hope. Yeah. So, Dr. Datta, are you there?
Yeah. So thank you for your excellent talk. So actually, Dr. Ghosh was conducting the session. So I
Yes.
request Dr. Ghosh to conclude this session.
Yes, please. So we'll wait for Dr. Ghosh to conclude the session.
Dr. Ghosh is online or not?
I don't think he is online.
Okay, there may be some problem, maybe
Right.
some network
Thank
issue
you,
or
sir.
something like that. Okay, so on the behalf of the organizing team, I am again thanking you for your excellent talk. So I think with this, we can conclude today's session. Uh, and tomorrow we'll join again sharp at 2 p.m. So
All
good
right.
night, everybody.
Good night, and have a good rest of the day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.